Welcome back. I say it with a smile every time. Reporter panel time. Let me introduce them. Nicholas Wu, congressional reporter for Semafor. Daniella Diaz covers politics for NOTUS, soon to be renamed The Star.
The Star.
So, iron rule here. If I talk to you about it before we go to break, I talk about it as soon as we come back. So, on this program yesterday, we shared a soundbite. Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen saying to Kash Patel, do you have a drinking problem? He says, no, no, no. Van Hollen says, will you take this government test? It's called an audit test. And Patel says, I will if you will. Well, today on social media, bring it up, control room, Chris Van Hollen posted the results. He gets a score of 3, which, based on the way I'm looking at this score, this full sheet here, is pretty low. And then he says in the social media post that Patel may or may not give his test. He eagerly awaits it, but suspects he might lie about it anyway. This wasn't exactly where I was expecting all this to head, Danielle.
It was such a viral moment. I mean, I saw that. It was Chris Van Hollen being incredibly fiery, you know, talking about all of these articles that we've seen in The Atlantic.
Which is not his brand, by the way.
It's not his brand. He's more of a mellow senator from Maryland. I know him pretty well, great guy. And we saw him really hit back against FBI Director Kash Patel in these viral moments, where also Mr. Patel was saying, you know, you were slinging back margaritas.
Yeah, I had Oppo research on a bar bill here in D.C.
It was a very fiery back and forth, but I think it encapsulates the moment that we're in right now when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, in the Trump administration and Democrats fighting on issues that are distracting from the day-to-day policy issues that the Democrats are trying to keep on when it comes to, you know, how expensive things are. When there's characters in the Trump administration, they're attracting a lot of attention.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to talk about this because I mentioned it earlier in the program, Nicholas. This new poll, Emerson poll, California, lots of polling, but this is the newest one. First one that shows, you bring it up, control room, that Javier Becerra, 19% in the poll, Steve Hilton, 17%. Interesting, Tom Steyer, another Democrat, 17%. So for the first time, you have 2 Democrats at least in contention for the top 2 spots. Why does this matter in California? Because of the unusual way they conduct their primary. It's not a partisan primary, so the top 2 finishers, regardless of party, advance to the general. Evaluate where we are in California.
Well, Democrats I talked to were really concerned, you know, even a few weeks ago, that they would potentially be boxed out of the general election because of this whole top 2 primary. But,
right.
You know, with the surge that we've seen.
Steve Hilton is a Republican and Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff, was for a while near the top. Bianco's clearly fallen back.
That's right, because the Democratic field was just so fractured that you had 2 Republicans towards the top with, you know, 20-something% of the vote, and then all the Democrats in maybe the high single digits. Fast forward a little bit, you know, with a lot of turmoil in that race. Mr. Becerra seems to have pulled ahead a bit. He's, you know, picked up a lot of the establishment support. The question is this, whether he can maintain that.
Whether he can maintain it. And speaking of Javier Becerra, who's been on this program, Tom Steyer, you haven't been. I await your willingness to come on this program. You're always invited. He was talking to KTLA, big station in Los Angeles, for an interview. And this is what happened as the interview was beginning to gain its beginning. So like the pre-interview or the pre-process. It's interesting. Listen.
By the way, this is a profile piece. This is not a gotcha piece, right?
Well, look, I think these questions are fair. It's in order to learn about you as a candidate.
So long as it's about the profile.
I don't know how you define profile, but I'd like to begin the interview.
The way I describe profile is you talk about all the things that I've done, things I want to do, and along with some tough questions. But not only tough questions.
Huh? What? What if it's tough? What if it's all tough questions? You can't handle that? Well, anyway, people in California will have a chance to figure that one out. To your point, Nicholas, can Becerra maintain this early incipient momentum?
That's for sure, since now he actually has all this attention on him.
A lot of it, yes.
That previously had been focused on Steyer. You know, we saw how that went for former Congressman Swallow. And now for Becerra, you know, he has to figure out how to consolidate the remaining support, but also deal with the scrutiny that he'll now face.
Daniella?
I was just surprised watching that because that's what we do.
His detractors here in Washington who did not think a lot of him as HHS secretary in the Democratic Party were probably not.
A lot of things right now on social media about how some of his own colleagues are not his biggest fans. But I think it's you're in the hot seat. You're trying to be the governor of one of the biggest states in the country, one of the most influential states in the country.
Fourth largest economy in the world.
And you should be ready for being in the hot seat and facing tough questions.
Whatever.
That's what reporters do. That's what you're supposed to do, especially if you're getting paid with taxpayer money and your goal is to help your state.
Very quickly, Daniela, you have some interesting reporting on how Republicans who, back in the Biden era, could not stop talking about gas prices, suddenly not really got a lot to offer.
What a switch up. I mean, how many times were Republicans on airwaves to their own constituents, social media,
cutting
there were
digital
stickers
ads
saying Biden did this on gas pumps across the country? And I surveyed 2024 ads with battleground district Republicans to what things look like right now, this very moment, because of the Iran war and gas prices surging because of this. And it's crickets.
Laryngitis. They just really don't have much to say.
And a lot of the message that we're hearing is that it's not that they don't really know what their message is, and
So
in this
they're
sort
struggling.
of scenario,
They're
yes,
struggling.
Yes.
That is a quick summary. They're struggling. Nicholas Wu, Daniella Diaz, thank you very much.